Thoughts and Friends podcast, episode 46.
46.
You have
a lot of notable 46.
Got any number 46 athletes? Anybody? We're joined by our friend Drew, our resident elf expert, good friend, coming from Atlanta, Georgia, repping the dogs. Drew, good to have you.
Go Dogs. Thanks. Pleasure to be here. Appreciate the confidence, fellas.
We're on to matchup 3 in the first round of our Christmas bracket. We're going to be breaking down Elf versus How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey version of the Grinch. We'll get into that. Which one would you guys like to start with? What order did you watch these in most recently?
I went Elf Grinch. I think going forward, just do the high seed and then the low seed. I think that's what we've done the entire time anyway.
Okay.
So probably go Elf first, then Grinch, unless anyone's opposed to that.
That's fine with me. I would say these two movies. I know we did 8, 9, but that was just for Lethal Weapon and Die Hard, so they could match up. These are probably a couple of the most loved or well liked, at least universally, Christmas movies. These two probably.
I think people our age, these are two of the most watched, certainly Christmas movies. Two of the biggest box office hits of our childhood and young teenage years.
Yeah.
And as far as Christmas movies go.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into Elf. We pretty much grew up with Will Ferrell. He's like our guy, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing about this is Jim Carrey and
that's
Elf,
why we matched them up.
Two of the biggest comedy stars in the history of the world. And this is their foray into Christmas movies.
And they just happen to coincide with like our childhood, basically.
Mm-hmm. And then you also have the yin and the yang of the most pure soul in Buddy the Elf, the most evil soul in the Grinch. Folks, this is professional podcasting.
I think we just threw this bracket together?
No. But let's get into it. Let's get into Elf. So Elf, released November 7th, 2003. It made $223.3 million at the box office. Quick synopsis. When young Buddy falls into Santa's gift sack on Christmas Eve, he's transported back to the North Pole and raised as a toy-making elf by Santa's helpers. But as he grows into adulthood, he can't shake the nagging feeling that he doesn't belong. Buddy vows to visit Manhattan and find his real dad, a workaholic publisher. It's directed by Jon Favreau, who you know from directing the Iron Man movies, the live action, or I guess animated, new, whatever you want to call it, Lion King movie, and the Mandalorian, the Star Wars series on Disney+. Stars Will Ferrell, James Caan, among others.
Zooey Deschanel, she does not get among others. She's
I forgot.
Zooey Deschanel.
So here, this is the point I want to get into. Zooey Deschanel doesn't even look like herself in this movie at all.
She has blonde hair.
She has blonde hair, I think I didn't realize until probably a couple years ago that was even her in this movie because it doesn't look like her at all. She's almost unrecognizable.
Every time she's up on that tree, I have to remind myself that it's Zooey Deschanel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Critical scores: Rotten Tomatoes 85%, Metacritic 64 out of 100. Roger Ebert, when he reviewed this, gave it 3 out of 4 stars. Elf.
Before we get into Elf, has Roger Ebert seen every movie ever?
Until he died, probably pretty close.
Oh yeah, I don't know. He's dead.
He died in 2013. So
okay. Yeah, that dude, there's just a Roger Ebert score for every movie.
Well, I mean, he's a professional. You know, that's like his job is to watch all the movies and rate them.
I know, but like every movie. Anyway, shout out to my guy Ebert.
Yeah, shout out to Big Raj, the best to ever do it. Drew, what's your relationship to this movie? We know that you love it very much.
I do. It was I actually got the DVD in a stocking one year. So we never ever went to movies in the theaters growing up because, you know, just trying to make it lower middle class, teacher dad. You just don't go to the theater, see movies. But when we got the DVD, it was on replay pretty much constantly every Christmas season. So we would watch it as a family, and it would just be kind of background noise for all of Christmas. So I guess that would be pretty heavy.
Yeah, you can just kind of catch it any time. It feels like
one of the most rewatchable movies on this list. You know all the beats. You know they're all coming.
I think that's why you said it came out in 2003. I felt like I was older than 10 when it came out. But I mean, just while you watch it when you're much older, it just feels like you're older when it came out. I don't know. Feels like I was older than 10 when it came out.
What did your life look like in 2003, Wes?
I don't
Explain
know.
yourself. Where were you at in your life?
I just feel like it's one of those movies, kind of like Home Alone, like the classics that you watch when you're older and you just didn't realize you were that young when it came out. I'm not sure if I watched it at 10, but
what was 10-year-old Wes like?
you know, a lot of video games, maybe some recess hoops, some Mountain Dew, you know, a lot of that,
Yeah.
and Elf and Buddy the Elf.
Buddy the Elf.
Yeah.
2003. Great year.
2003.
I mean, you know, I probably went to the theater and watched it. I didn't go to that many movies.
I remember
My mom bought a lot of DVDs. We're a big DVD household, so I know we have Elf the DVD too.
So in my hometown, we have a one-screen movie theater. And when I lived there, it was like as soon as it reopened, whenever I was young, and this was the first movie that played, and I tried to go see it in the theater, and it was sold out. So I never saw this in the theater. Wasn't meant to be, but I've seen it a bunch of times since.
I think both of these main characters, Will Ferrell and Jim Carrey, I think the roles were perfectly cast. I feel like if this role was just made for Will Ferrell, just be a pretty much total dipshit.
Yeah, a
Kind of
blubbering
clown
idiot.
around. Yeah, it was perfect.
So that is,
Go ahead.
it's interesting to me because, so do you guys know what number film this was for Favreau as a director?
It was pretty early. It wasn't too
Number
bad.
2. It was his second one ever.
Yeah.
So when you read through the synopsis and it says he's the Avengers God and Iron Man King, he was not that guy at this point.
Yeah, he
made one movie named Made. So that's all he had done at that point.
Which I think almost no one has seen. I've certainly never seen it. He had a bunch of acting credits up to this point, but this is basically sort of his first foray into big studio, big budget filmmaking. And I would say it went pretty well.
Yeah, I don't know how much it cost to make, but I saw it made like 130 million or somewhere in that range.
So that is
which is huge for it's pretty huge for
I think their starting budget was like 30 million, but then obviously
I would imagine maybe the cast cost quite a bit. Like James Caan, he's a very famous actor from the 70s and 80s. I'd imagine he required a pretty big number. But other than that, it's not a bunch of huge stars. Zooey Deschanel was this before or after?
At the time.
What's the movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Levinson?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
And Zooey Deschanel?
Yeah.
I don't know.
500 Days of Summer? Is that what it's called?
It was. She had only done a couple movies before that, and that was not one of them.
I'm trying to think, where was Will Ferrell at this time?
So this would have been
Night of the Roxbury.
After SNL, I think. I think he would have just left SNL at this point, I think. 2003.
So 2002, he left SNL. Then he did Night at the Roxbury. And this is actually something that impacted them releasing it. And New Line kind of freaked out because Old School came out right before Elf. And so they're like, okay, so we have Frank the Tank in green tights. Like this may be a little bit of an issue.
There.
Yeah, I think it is kind of interesting to think because now Will Ferrell is a super family-friendly actor. He's in a bunch of movies that you would show your kids. But up to this point, he's in basically no movies that are not at least PG-13 rated. And I don't know how big of a household name he was in 2003. Like he was, the most famous SNL cast member.
You got to think at that time, SNL is like famous, like the big time at that time.
Yeah.
In the early 2000s and 90s.
Yeah.
And of course, like when it started in the 80s. So
I think it depends on who you are, though, because Wes, you were huge into it. I never watched SNL, so I guess unless you watch SNL and like late night stuff, you may not know who he is.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially at that point, because social media and stuff is so different.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about people, so Faison Love, Gimbal's manager, is one that I'm a huge fan of.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he does a great job. Also, I mean, you can't forget about Miles Finch, aka Tyrion Lannister, known as Peter Dinklage. Awesome. Yeah. And shout out to another Christmas movie, Peter Billingsley, who was Ming Ming in The Workshop. It's actually Ralphie from A Christmas Story. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
he
saw
is.
that also. He's uncredited, and I didn't even catch him whenever I was watching this. I didn't even catch him in it. I read that after. That is a fun fact. Where would we stack this up in Will Ferrell roles? Maybe first on, maybe not your favorite, but most iconic Will Ferrell roles. It's got to be easily top 5.
I would say top 5 for sure. You have Anchorman, which came out the next year.
Ron Burgundy, one of the most iconic characters. He still dresses up like Ron Burgundy. Is this more iconic than Step Brothers?
I would say no. Iconic. Well, you have the Christmas angle.
That's what I'm saying. I think this
replayed
is
every year.
What else is in discussion here?
I think Step Brothers is funnier.
Sure.
Everybody loves Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, that's another big one.
It has to be. No, it has to be. It might be top 3. Like, he doesn't have a lot of his stuff is more
Jackie Moon
ensemble. Yeah, I guess you could say Jackie Moon.
Like a lot of my favorite roles of his, he's not even the star.
Exactly.
Like in
Wedding Crashers.
Crashers, in Old School, like you said. Zoolander, where he's the villain.
Yep.
A lot of those are some of my favorite roles of his. But most iconic, this might be one. I don't know.
It could be, yeah.
It very well could be.
I would say Ron Burgundy's probably one for him, and then probably Buddy the Elf.
Yeah.
And is that because he is a lot to handle at times, and so you don't necessarily want him to be the lead? That's why you prefer when he's a support role, because he's a little overwhelming at times.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think
maybe
when I rewatched this, I got a little exhausted by him at times whenever I rewatch this. Sometimes it's a little much.
Yes, I would agree. I would say that
I think
when he's not doing a bit like he is like an elf, like in Ron Burgundy, like he's a character, like he's putting on a voice, I feel like he's kind of boring though. So I think small doses of turn it to 10 Will Ferrell is probably best. I think this entire movie, he is a little exhausting.
I think this character, they could have made him slightly less stupid.
I just said they turned it to 10.
He's 12 out of 10 on the stupid. If he'd been 9 out of 10 on the stupid, I think it would have been a little better.
It feels like, I don't know who wrote this. I'm sure Will Ferrell and Favreau, it was just like on the fly, just any of the dumbest shit you could think of. I'm sure they were just firing at the hip.
So the dude that wrote it was like just some random kid from New York who like loved Christmas, and that's it. And then he just kind of took it. So the people that like produced and directed this movie, nobody had any experience at all, which I think is kind of, I don't know, maybe that's why.
It feels like, I don't know if it's because Will Ferrell, it comes with Saturday Night Live. It feels like a bunch of like sketch ideas.
It feels super improvised.
Yeah.
And that is a credit to the director and the editor and whoever, that it does come together and make a cohesive movie and a cohesive plot. But all the bits seem very sort of, like the mailroom, I can't imagine you write something like, "Oh, Francisco, that's fun."
Like how many times did he answer the phone?
Yeah.
Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? He probably said 30 things in that phone and they just picked one. Like that's not just, it's just, you don't. It's very difficult to write things like that.
When you're dealing with an improv guy, that's why
the beauty of Will Ferrell in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And sort of the downfall of like modern comedy movies in a lot of ways, because they kind of do that a little too much, I think, and they don't write anything. And it's a lot of like, Judd Apatow's like famous for this. Like, hey, we're just going to say this is the scene. I want you guys to just give me 20 lines apiece, say whatever you want to say, and we'll just make it work.
Yeah.
It works here for the most part.
I think it does toe the line. It does get a bit exhausting, especially with
they're trying to make it very sentimental, and I think it kind of works, but it's almost too goofy for the emotional beats to really hit the way they need to for a great Christmas movie.
Right. I think, go ahead, Drew.
So just wanted to throw in 3 things, and I think this kind of makes sense. to me at least. So Favreau, when he was interviewing for the director spot, he had 3 things that he came in and he said, these are the only 3 things that we're going to concentrate. This is what I want to do. So number 1 was Rankin Bass, which almost got them sued and almost got the movie shut down. So it's the claymation, like old school Christmas stories. So, I mean, Buddy the Elf's costume literally is the exact same. Like a lot of the scenes, they basically just stole them. And so they said they were more inspired. They weren't ripping them off. They were inspired by Rankin Bass.
That snowman is literally the exact same thing as those movies.
Yeah.
If you had told me that, if you had told me that they had the okay and it was just them that made this, I would have said, yeah, that sounds right. Like, why couldn't they just made that not a snowman? I don't know. They could have just made it or made it look a little different. They didn't even try.
Any guesses on who the voice for Narwhal is? Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad. Any guesses?
I don't know.
Favreau.
That makes sense. Sure. He also cameos as one of my favorite scenes, the doctor, where he gets the blood test. He's the doctor where he gets his
Dr. Leonardo.
He gets his finger pricked.
Yeah.
And he screams.
And he
fun
just
fact:
starts eating cotton balls.
Yeah, that there's no way they wrote that, right? He's just like, "What if I eat cotton balls? That would be funny."
I feel like the entire movie is just Will Ferrell being like, "What if I did this?"
Fun fact: they said there were a lot of scenes, especially the ones in New York, where it was just like Favreau, Will Ferrell, and like 2 crew members. Like, we're just gonna run around and we're just gonna fuck with people and we're just gonna do chaos. We're just
they said they engaged in guerrilla warfare camera, basically. And they said also another fun fact: red jogging suit, Santa guy that he's like goes up to and tugs on. He just happened to be there. That's just real. That was like a real person.
I buy that.
That stuff like that is what makes this movie feel more grounded in reality, I guess, and feels more authentic. Makes the jokes hit a little bit more. Back to the doctor's office scene. So the big reason they picked James Caan to be the father was because they knew how good of an actor he was, and they knew he would do a really good job to not break. And Will Ferrell couldn't break him. Really? And they said that is the one scene in the whole thing when he's screaming in the doctor's chair. The one time that Will Ferrell broke James Caan in this movie, and you can kind of see. He kind of ducks his head out of the way like this because he's laughing and they didn't want to fuck up the take.
Good. He does.
I'll say this: James Caan might be the best performance in this movie. I think he nails that character so much. I think he crushes it. I think he's perfectly cast. Obviously, Will Ferrell, Buddy the Elf is great. James Caan, excellent performance.
Yeah, very good.
So they say everybody that was on the set, number 1, James Caan apparently is notoriously hard to work with.
Yeah,
he's Sonny Corleone. He's a badass. Like, he's just old school, like, don't screw with me kind of guy. And I guess he gave like a big
drunk, I think. I don't know if this point he still was, but he's a bit of a loose cannon.
Okay.
Never helps.
Why would he do this?
Money.
Yeah, I mean, he can just get money anywhere though.
I don't know.
Easy money. It seems pretty.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know. Maybe I don't know why. I don't know
maybe,
why.
Maybe Favreau had an in with him and he liked him. I don't know.
Maybe just want to have a bit of fun.
So James Caan introduced himself to the entire crew as Jimmy the Dream the first day that they filmed, which everybody that I heard from on set said that was 100% not the case. And one more James Caan fun fact. So in the boardroom when they're with Miles Finch and he just absolutely lights into him, Favreau whispered something before the scene and then they went and everybody's like, wow, he nailed this on the first time. And all Favreau said was, just remember, you're Sonny fucking Corleone. So that was it.
Goddamn.
So it just reminded him that he's part of the Godfather, and he just snapped.
Do you like James Caan? If I hear that, it's like, yeah, no shit, dude. You're some fucking 30-something twerp. I've been doing this shit. You don't need the.
You don't need to hype me up.
Yeah, it's like I know how to act. I'm in a goddamn Christmas movie with Will Ferrell. I think I can handle it.
So that was also the last day of filming. So that was like the last scene that they filmed. And I guess they said that Will Ferrell just messed with him and messed with him and messed with him.
I'm sure he just beat him down.
The entire thing. So I think at that point, it was basically like, okay, this is my last chance to just light into this guy. because I'm never like, I'm sure they don't hang out and stuff. So he just let it loose. So all the frustration for the entire movie of being tickle fighted to death. And I guess they did that multiple times. And he was like, guys, do you have it? Like, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, imagine
Ferrell's just
us
loving
kind of
it.
getting annoyed with him. Imagine us getting like, all right, we get it. He's a dipshit. We get it. Imagine filming it 20 times a piece or whatever.
Both of these actors in these roles, I imagine, are exhausting. Do you want to hear a really fun fact that also ties these movies together? They initially asked Jim Carrey to be Buddy the Elf.
I believe that.
Yep.
I think that performance would be a little different, but probably equally iconic.
A little. They played the roles they're meant to play.
I think so too.
I agree. So this is a word that somebody used to describe Will Ferrell at the time. This is like, so perpetual innocence. Sorry, perpetual innocence. So I guess I'm not super familiar with his SNL stuff, but was he always like the lovable dummy kind of?
Yeah,
is perpetual innocence? Is that a fair characterization?
More cowbell. He was kind of
he's always the dumb golden retriever sort of
golden retriever.
character.
Yeah, he's always like, wow, look at this.
Yeah,
and that's exactly the character he plays. Exactly. Trying to think what would be. I'm trying to think. What's your favorite? Started to pick a favorite scene because they're basically just like 10 sketches threaded together. We haven't talked to any about at least when I was younger too, the snowball fight scene is very cool. Is good.
Iconic.
And it's kind of you're like, oh yeah, he would probably be pretty good at chucking snowballs.
Is Buddy the Elf a first-round draft pick as an NFL quarterback?
He's got a cannon.
He's tall. He's white.
He hit that little kid in stride.
I'm sure his interviews, he'd be incredibly nice.
He looks good in shorts.
Are you kidding me? Shorts. He's, Will Ferrell's what, 6'4"?
6'4",
big strong arm. I'm just saying.
He's the Brock Osweiler of elves.
Yeah, I mean, the New York Giants,
Gettleman, call him.
Gettleman, give him a call. I think Buddy of the Elf's a solid prospect.
Yeah.
Looks. And I feel like almost to your point, Wes, with it being like a bunch of sketches kind of woven together, there's more moments for me than actual scenes because it was hard for me to like blockade them off.
Extremely, extremely quotable movie. A lot of just like kind of one-off lines that are memorable.
So the scene where he calls him an angry little elf, that's an iconic scene
for sure.
That's got to be up there. One of my favorites, a little bit. Also, with a fun fact, when he's doing the Jack in the Boxes and he keeps getting scared, that was all real. His reactions, he did not know when they were going to pop. So that's all sort of real reactions.
In the moment watching that, I was like, God, that'd be a nightmare.
Yeah,
that'd be just like being jump scared for 8 hours.
I do love the world's best cup of coffee. I thought that was a
good
great.
Congratulations,
good bit. And then he brings.
Way to go, everybody!
Yeah,
you did it.
And then whenever he first walks into the Macy's, basically whatever it's called,
Gimbals, bro, come on.
The manager brings him over and he's like, 10 a.m. tomorrow, Santa's coming. Santa!
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Yeah. And there's no singing in the North Pole. Yes, there is. No, there isn't. Yes, there is. No, there isn't.
Oh, there is. No, there is.
Artie Lang, well cast as a scumbag mall Santa Claus. It's a good scene where they fight each other.
Mm-hmm.
You stink.
You.
The mailroom dance scene I enjoyed also when he consumed a little too much syrup.
Yeah. A little schnapps in your coffee? Maybe a little.
I'd imagine if he doesn't like the taste of coffee, Buddy the Elf's not going to like the taste of whiskey coffee either. Probably just a hunch. What's the deal?
Nobody likes
the guy that he's working with. The older, long hair,
like prison release or something. It seems like
he says he's 26. Is that supposed to be a joke, or is there a bit we're not supposed to? I mean, that guy looks 50 years old.
Yeah.
Certainly not 26.
I remember him saying
that's supposed to be a joke. I don't know. I don't know. If it was, I don't know.
You're so young. You're so young. You got your whole life. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of funny shit.
Here's one nitpick I have about this movie is how quickly everyone gets from one point to another in New York City. Like in the final scene, the mom sees her on TV and she's from her apartment there in like 10 minutes.
That'd take an hour.
There's another scene where James Caan is from the apartment to his office in like 5 minutes, or what it seems to be. Not that that matters at all. Unimportant. That's like the people that were yelling at that one scene of Game of Thrones because they traveled too fast. But just popped in my brain.
It would take weeks to sail there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It would take weeks. Who cares?
The candy cane forest, you're telling me to take longer than 13 seconds to travel.
Swirly gumdrops.
So yeah, he said you went from Gumdrop Forest to the Lincoln Tunnel. That doesn't. There's some geographical land in between.
Where do the worlds connect?
I want to watch.
Well, it's the literal North Pole, you know. So
when he tries to hug the raccoon at the very beginning, that was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want a 4-hour movie, and I want to see him stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
I want it to be realistic, folks.
And the scene where he's just getting to New York and he's running in traffic, getting hit by cars, like taking solicitors like handouts, and they're the ones telling him to stop, taking him to go away, eating gum off the bottom of railings, going on the little circle door thing, like until he throws up.
Yeah. Here, can I give you a quick pitch? How about the dark, bleak, realistic version of this, where Buddy the Elf is just a legitimate psychopath? James Caan's like, fuck you, whatever. He's homeless, just roaming the streets, fucking descends into madness, and it's really depressing.
Yeah, holiday classic.
Would we want to watch that?
Holiday classic.
I'm in.
So alternate ending for the movie. So when Frank the Tank in green tights freaked out New Line Cinemas and they took it away from Favreau for like a small period of time. Eventually he got it back, obviously. But they cut off the end of the Christmas power, whatever, the Christmas spirit lifting up, and like James Caan
meter, dude.
Being like this. They took that out, and they ended it with Santa hitting the button on the thing, and that was the end of the movie. And so everybody in there was like, hey, they forgot a reel. Like, what's going on here? And they're like, no. So everybody just went nuts. Like, we're here for Favreau. And then he got it back and they put it back in.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I think, small gripe, I think that James Caan's character, I don't even know his name in the movie. Dad.
Walter
is right.
Walter Hobbs.
I think Walter's turn to liking Buddy is too sudden.
Yeah.
And like makes no sense.
Yeah.
I think I would hate him more.
It's a little.
I also don't believe it, because he says,
"No,
you're my son. I love you," with absolutely no emotion and nothing.
Yeah, like it was. I thought small gripe, makes no sense whatsoever that he would just be like, "All right, Dykes, you're a part of my family now. I love you. You're my little elf."
Yeah,
makes no sense.
That's why I'm partial to his fake dad, Papa Elf. Before he leaves the North Pole, he gets kind of choked up and says that I'll always be here for you. And I think that's the kind of fatherly love that you don't. I mean, maybe that's the whole point. Walter Hobbs doesn't have that in him, but
doesn't. And also, I guess that's more believable with his own son. Like, he walks out on that, but like, he's an asshole. I don't know if he would do that. He probably would have just stayed.
Yeah,
in that pitch meeting.
Probably.
Question: how many awful boyfriends and dates had Zooey Deschanel been on to be like, all right, I'll go with Buddy the Elf?
This guy who's borderline mentally handicapped. I'm gonna let him take me.
He's
out.
So tall.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget,
really
this is on the
though.
heels of him going into the locker room while she's showering and singing,
That's fun.
which is also a fantastic scene. You he's going to run straight into the lockers, but I don't know. It's kind of like a fart. Like, it's always funny. Like, it's just
every
because
time.
we're kids, and
the fact she somehow found that endearing.
Yeah, and like was like, yeah, lunch. No,
she was not nearly terrified enough. She was very terrified. She was not nearly scared enough that this strange, weird man was.
At least it turned to like endearing too quick. It was.
And she was also singing "Baby It's Cold Outside," which is like notoriously like kind of creepy song.
Yeah, imagine you're singing that, and then you hear a man's voice singing the other part,
joining in with you.
That's
in the shower.
In my dark, bleak version, that scene's terrifying.
Oh yeah.
and another flipped dark version of Elf. That scene rules.
Are you good?
That's
Are
petrifying.
you good?
Yeah.
So presents, because that's one of the things that you gave me. I think one of the all-time best presents ever given in a Christmas movie for that special someone. He gets his dad some lingerie because the sign said for that special someone.
Well, that was funny.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good.
And it was also a way to make him realize that he gave him the picture too of his whatever her name was, his buddy's mom.
Yeah. It's a good bit. It's a good bit.
Very funny.
Do we have any other bits that we really love? Why were the police so aggressive hunting down Santa? And once they saw the sleigh like flying off the ground, they're like, "No, we got to get him. We got to take this guy out."
I thought that was the cheesiest. Like, okay, like he said, because he put him on the naughty list and never forgave him. It was so. The Central Park Rangers are chasing down.
This
Santa?
put this
Like
thought in my head.
money?
It doesn't really have anything to do with this movie. Do you think in a realistic version of Santa, he's probably got some heavy artillery? He's probably getting some flack. He's got some heavy artillery on that sleigh, probably. You know, he's flying over some restricted airspace.
Santa's packing heat.
You know,
well, if he's real, he's 100% got one of those little like Men in Black, like look at this, forget everything that you've ever seen. Yeah. Otherwise, how could he do what he does?
I just imagine an elf in like a gunner seat on the side of the sleigh. Just
also, I think that it took a very, very small amount of Christmas cheer to get that sleigh. It's like
80 people singing.
A
small corner.
We're talking. We got James Caan to sing.
True.
That's when it because it's when he starts to open up and sings, and then it just takes off.
Yeah. It did take a tiny little corner of New York.
Well, it's on the news too. So all the other people that are watching that channel are also spreading Christmas cheer.
I think it's funny that the news reporter he reads her Christmas list. He wants a diamond ring and her boyfriend to stop dragging his feet and commit already. That was a funny bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, also don't forget that this was a televised thing, so everybody was singing along with those 80 people outside of Central Park.
I mean,
so it was
180.
Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any bad? We have kind of a list of things. Any bad scenes? Any stuff you don't like? I think the stuff with her, with Zooey Deschanel, just the fact that it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
He's a psychopath.
The movie doesn't need it at all. Both of these movies have unnecessary romance angles.
We'll get to the other one. That one's weird.
Both of these have unnecessary romance angles that just don't need to be in the movie, really. I could have done without any Zooey Deschanel. Love Zooey Deschanel. She's great.
She was great.
But could have done without her part in the movie, I think.
Yeah.
Well, but it brings it full circle with the whole family aspect because he ends up married with a kid, meeting Papa Elf.
True.
That kind of stuff. I mean, I don't think you need to make it like a 30-minute portion of the movie where they're going on a date and looking at Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Also, would he still be in contention after that's the date that he takes her on?
They just went around and looked at Christmas trees. Actually, I think chicks would probably just eat that up.
She gave him a big old kiss.
Big old smooch. They went ice skating and looked at Christmas trees. What's better?
She was
all right. So it's a great script. Crappy cup of coffee.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, it is a crappy cup of coffee.
It's the world's best cup of coffee. It says so on the side.
Yeah, that was funny. I think, that was all right. I just don't think it makes any sense.
No.
Whatever, though. She's good.
Do you want a fun fact about Will Ferrell in regards to Christmas?
Yes.
He used to be a mall Santa, and Chris Kattan was the elf with him when he was a mall Santa.
Like for real.
For real, in real life, as a job when they were living in LA before a Saturday Night Live. He was a mall Santa, and Chris Kattan, who was his co-star in Night at the Roxbury, was his elf.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's so great.
That's really cool.
And it's perfectly cast once again.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan.
So for the record, they only had enough money to afford 13 days in New York, which is why they were basically just running around filming anything and everything they could.
Yeah, most of it is shot in Vancouver, right?
At a fun fact, insane asylum. They had to repurpose
Yeah.
the inside of an insane asylum.
Wow.
Here's a gripe that I just thought
Christmassy.
of. The North Pole looks like shit. Why is it all gray on the inside? It's like the most depressing looking place
Well, maybe
in
that's
the world.
another little like these. That's
You know what I mean?
these
Like,
elves hate their lives.
but they're all so happy though. That's the
true.
thing. Buddy the Elf is the cheeriest person in the
They
world.
give them all candy.
Could they have killed the production designer? Put a little splash of color, maybe some.
Yeah, maybe
I don't know why it's all gray. I don't.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
weird
true.
They
decision.
want it to
that
be
it's
like
all gray.
Rankin Bass, man.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah,
they stole
whatever.
theirs, and they didn't have any color, so it
They just
seems.
put the color in like the costumes.
Yeah, I don't know. It just looks kind of weird. Fun fact that all the stuff where Will Ferrell looks like a giant in those scenes, none of that is green screened in. It's all practical effects. It's all camera tricks. So good on them. Very cool.
Very cool.
Well done.
Dude, forced perspective,
Mm-hmm.
which
Good stuff.
I guess they hadn't, like, nobody had used that in like 50 or 60 years. And
Also,
so,
well, very famous in Lord of the Rings with the Hobbits. They do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's-
There's a clip that goes around, I don't know, like once a year about the Gandalf at the table scene.
Yeah.
The whole like how they had
they had to
the
make like
rotating
a
table.
special table that rotated, and it's very in depth. Peter Jackson,
Camera tricks.
He loves doing that stuff.
Same thing with elves and
so when
Big Boy
Buddy
Buddy.
was sitting on Papa Elf's lap, they actually had a baby on a diving board and had Papa Elf sitting like 10 feet back. So the legs were real baby legs, which I thought was actually kind of funny. And then
That's
when he's
funny.
on the bike riding around, it's a 4-year-old kid holding on to it. And then Papa Elf's like sat back, like on this long, basically golf cart. So forced perspective. Cool if you
Fun
know how to
facts.
do it.
Yeah.
Okay, Wes, what would you give this movie out of 100?
I think it has its flaws, but as a Christmas movie, as a comedy, as something very difficult to do, I think especially now, be a clean, family-friendly comedy that still is funny, has a lot to do with Will Ferrell and his improv stuff. It's high. It's like 80, mid-80s, 86.
For what did you give? I think the big heavy hitter we've done so far is Home Alone. As far as Christmas movies, what did you grade Home Alone?
I don't remember. Let me look.
Something mid-80s though, pretty close.
Yeah, it's
I guess we
Okay.
shouldn't say yet which movie you prefer, but just for context, you have them rated in a similar ballpark.
yes, I do.
I gave this movie a 78 out of 100, I think. I think some of the stuff, Will Ferrell's a little much. I think the Zooey Deschanel stuff's a little weird. I think the James Caan stuff, while he's very good in the role, it doesn't work that well for me, but it's very funny. It's very iconic. It's a great movie. I gave Home Alone like low 80s. I give this like high 70s. I'm with you. They're both very close. Both great movies.
I gave Home Alone an 86. I'll give this an 84.
Drew, what would you give this movie out of 100?
87.
Yeah.
Taking into
That's
consideration all what you're, it's really hard to give a 90 on like any movie, period, let alone a Christmas movie.
it. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
This
Christmas
movie's not without
movies,
its flaws, but it's an absolute delight.
Yeah.
It's delightful.
very fun to watch. And
Yeah.
I mean, I will say every time I think about playing, I'm like, I've seen it so many times, do I really need to play it? But then you turn it on, you get it going, and you just laugh. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All the beats. All the beats.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is Elf. We now move to the 12 seed or the 12 seed, right? This is the 5-12 matchup, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
The 12th seed, Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, released almost 3 years apart, November 8th, 2000. Grossed $345 million at the
No
box
way.
office, almost 120 more than Elf. It was a smash hit, an absolute smash. Synopsis: inside a snowflake exists the magical land of Whoville. In Whoville live the Whos, an almost mutated sort of munchkin-like people. All the Whos love Christmas, yet just outside of their beloved Whoville lives the Grinch. The Grinch is a nasty creature that hates Christmas and plots to steal it away from the Whos, whom he equally abhors. Yet a small child, Cindy Lou Who, decides to try befriending the Grinch. Directed by Ron Howard, who you know directed A Beautiful Mind, The Da Vinci Code, Apollo 13, and played Opie in the Andy Griffith Show.
Yes, he did.
Stars Jim Carrey, Taylor Momsen as Lindsay Lohan, Jeffrey Tambor as the mayor, among some others. Molly Shannon's in this. Some other actors you may know. The Rotten Tomatoes score is a 49%. The Metacritic is a 46 out of 100. Roger Ebert gave it 2 out of 4 stars.
Yeah. So obviously the Dr. Seuss angle. But let's do the same thing with Jim Carrey. This is like rock star Jim Carrey. This is like 2000s, right after the 90s, just smash fest of Jim Carrey.
So yeah, either 94 or 96 was when he had his like the best run in the 94s, and he had like the best run in the history of movies. He does Ace Ventura, he does The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber all in the same calendar year, which is as big of a 3 smash hit movie year as you can have.
Yeah, yes. And then Liar, Liar, Truman Show, Me, Myself, and Irene, if you like that movie. Not quite as notable, but yeah, and some other stuff. So from like 94 to this is just like the biggest comedy rock star.
He's as
on the planet.
Bulletproof a box office movie star as you get at this point. There's a reason.
Heavily contributed to
if you look at every movie, like from here on out until like 2008, like every star, it's like also Jim Carrey was considered for this role because you knew the guy
you just
was
make the call.
A printing press at the box office. And on top of that, just an excellent performer, great actor, probably my favorite actor of all time, actually. Fun fact.
Interesting. I think this role was perfect for him, just like Buddy the Elf was for Will Ferrell.
I can't really imagine another actor doing this role.
No. I mean, it's easy to say now that he's done it. He's been that for 20 years, and we've just watched it every year as him. It's hard to just picture other people, but just it's just Jim Carrey. It's so perfect.
So with that in mind, so when I think of like particular people associated with actors associated with particular roles, especially ones that are reproduced over the years. So like in Batman with the Joker and like Heath Ledger, and like comparing the different guys, like, do you think so if they did recast it and redo it and it wasn't Jim Carrey, who would you want to be the person to give it?
Do you want to know the other 2 people that were up for this role that were also considered, the 2 most heavily considered? 1, Jack Nicholson, and 2, Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, I think those make sense. Very able to be very physically funny and spastic kind of. Jack Nicholson, maybe to be a little insane.
A little more dark, maybe. A little more brooding. Although this movie is surprisingly like scary and off-putting.
It is dark. It is off-putting.
Yeah.
I hadn't watched it probably for a while. Like it's on TV and you catch parts of it, but like all of it for like 5, 6, 7, a lot of years. It is weird. It is off-putting.
I will say this is maybe one of my most watched Christmas movies for me personally. I had this on VHS. I watched it a million times when I was a kid, and I can't believe how well liked as kids we all like this movie. I can't believe more of us were not scared by this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the point of his character. He's supposed to be like a scary, creepy for these who's, but
I can't believe
this movie.
Yeah, I can't believe this movie did as well as it did. I think the Dr. Seuss angle, parents were just kind of like, it's Dr. Seuss. We're just going to take the kids, yada, yada, yada. Jim Carrey. I've seen movies that I, as an adult, like Jim Carrey. I'm going to take the kids. But
I wonder how many families took their young kids and were like, all right, we're going to leave now because like my kids are crying in the corner.
Yeah. And just his whole character in general, I guess I get that that's the point, but like, swimming in garbage and
he eats glass
and his onion deodorant. Yeah, he's extremely gross.
Oh, that's all funny.
But there is, but when your kids, like, there's stuff that goes over your head and you don't totally understand, and so maybe it's like, I don't know, it's not creepy enough, and some of like the innuendos and stuff like just don't hit at all. So like a kid would never even consider this like dark world because they're not aware of this dark world that exists.
Yeah. So a big issue they had when making this movie was the guy who wrote How the Grinch Stole Christmas and owned the rights to it died, and they had to go through his widow for all the rights, and she had to approve basically every decision they made in this movie. And they were going to try to make it more like adult and more, because there's like a few like sexual innuendos and stuff, but they were going to do more of that stuff. She had to approve. She also had to approve of Jim Carrey. Fun story about that. She met with a lot of the actors. Well, she wrote a note. She's like, they have to be of the caliber of like Jack Nicholson, Dustin Hoffman, Eddie Murphy, Jim Carrey. No one else I'm going to allow.
All the who's?
No, the person who plays the Grinch has to be a star of that caliber.
Okay.
She met with him, but when she met with him was when, I don't know if you guys have seen this documentary, when Jim Carrey was shooting the Andy Kaufman movie.
Dude,
his entire life
no way.
he was living basically as Andy Kaufman. He never broke character at any point, and it drove people insane. So when he's meeting with her, he's Andy Kaufman pitching himself.
He's perfect
as the Grinch. And the only thing he did that was Grinch-like was he did his little Grinch smile, and that basically sold her. She was in.
Amen.
She was in. So
I believe it.
I would have loved to sit down at that pitch meeting. What a weird deal that would have been.
Yeah. Nothing like a good method acting to land you the Grinch.
Yeah. So I think one of the best parts of this movie is like the sets and the production design, and the makeup for the Grinch is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, because it's a him in there. It's prosthetics and makeup, right?
Yeah.
The entire time.
It said it took roughly 8 hours for him to get ready on a given shoot, and he, after the first day, almost quit.
Yeah.
He kicked a hole in the wall of his trailer when he got back, and he told Ron Howard, I'm out. I'm done doing this. And what they did to get him ready, they basically put him through like torture training that you put Navy SEALs through, and they taught him like mental tricks to like withstand being stuck in this hair. It's made of yak hair, so he's sweaty and he's got all this shit on his face all day. So they put him through basically Navy SEAL torture training.
How much am I getting paid?
So he was going through Hell Week for the entire time that they filmed this movie.
Correct. Also, he was unpleasant for a while, and the makeup artist just quit. Said, fuck this. It was, I don't remember his name. He said, fuck this. I'm not doing this. Eventually, Jim Carrey was nicer and apologized, and he came back, but a bit of a mess.
I totally believe
So it seems like there's a lot of, I mean, when it comes to Christmas movies, at least these two, it's not always so fun.
No.
You get frustrated with each other a little bit.
And I think the reason this movie maybe came out a little worse and it's a little weird and janky is like all these scenes, you got to think, it's all right, we got basically 1-2 shots of this because we're not taking the makeup back off. Like, we got to nail this on this try. So all the takes we do just got to be kind of good enough.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows.
Sometimes, yeah.
Kind of shows sometimes. Whereas the other movie, like I said, they could just go with throw your suit on, 2 camera guys. We'll just run around New York,
exact same suit,
do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, we'll do 20 takes of this. Give me your best line. Yeah, a lot of challenges, many challenges. I think it's hard to, or I mean, it's easy to forget that he's actually at, I didn't know, 8 hours to get into that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's an overestimation, but that's what I saw online. I would believe it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of the state of mind that would put me in. Like I would just go insane. I would kind of just,
and maybe that's why the performance.
That's what I'm
like,
saying. The Grinch is like
he's
unhinged,
psychotic, and unhinged the entire time.
Yeah.
Credit to him for having just the energy in general, because like he is going for it in this thing. Like he is balls to the wall, 10 out of 10.
That's him.
Going for it.
That's him. That's what I say. I don't know who else can do this.
Mm-hmm.
So similar to Will Ferrell and Brody, I know he's one of your all-time faves, but is Jim Carrey also exhausting?
Yes.
And obnoxious.
Yeah. This especially, but I mean, this, like, it kind of calls for that. I think it would be weird to be like a toned down version of the Grinch, I feel like.
Yeah.
And maybe it's also, this is like the Grinch that I know, so it's hard to imagine a different take, I think. But you know, he's playing a cartoon character, basically. So
True. Yeah. There's not.
I think, so the thing that makes this less jarring is the elf is set within the context of real life, and this is set within the context of a Dr. Seuss book. They are small, little, deformed people that live in a snowflake. So,
but still exhausting.
Yeah, Cindy Lou Who has not grown into her nose. Don't forget that.
Also, all the people in the Who makeup, a lot of them would put straws up their nose in between takes because they could not breathe through their nose.
Sounds like a fun time in Whoville.
Yeah. Ever just in between takes, everyone on the phone. How much am I getting paid here?
Yeah,
more.
Yeah,
more. No, I feel like this movie doesn't. I do want to bring up. I think this movie has a scene that makes me laugh more than any scene in either movie.
Go ahead.
I think the scene where he is deciding whether to go to get this award and like talks about his schedule,
getting dressed and stuff.
And getting dressed is laugh out loud funny. I think it's when I watched it this last time, I think it's funny.
It's
laugh
hilarious.
Funny.
Jim Carrey he crushes this.
Gotta read the schedule that he says because he's deciding whether to go, and he's like, I have no time. 4:00, wallow in self-pity. 4:30, stare into the abyss. 5:00, solve world hunger. Tell no one. 5:30, jazzercise. 6:30, dinner with me. I can't cancel that again. And 7, wrestle with my self-loathing. I'm booked. There's no time for me to go get this award. And
fantastic.
You see the clip of him like kind of runway walking out with his thing on. I don't know, whatever he puts on, like pants.
Lederhosen.
He's like, that's it. I'm not going.
Yeah.
You see that GIF on Twitter a lot.
Yeah.
It's, I think, the best scene in either movie. The most funny scene.
It's great. It really is. There's a lot of stuff like that. I love the initial scene when he's in his cave and he's eating the glass and he sits in his little chair. Whenever I was young, I thought the funniest shit was when he's yelling at his echo and the echo yells back, "You're an idiot."
Yeah.
You know, the more you grow up, it's a little childish, but it's still funny.
I think him prank calling people is funny. Just a stupid, like, just calling people and yelling things at them. Either of you ever big prank callers back in the day?
I did a few times. I just did for fun.
E-bombs world, man.
Oh yeah.
As a young kid,
soundboards.
It's one of those things you just can't stop laughing. You just hang up. One of those things. I don't think I ever really got a good, successful one in without just laughing and hanging up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had a couple where we called like a Papa John's or a Pizza Hut and used the Jack Black soundboard.
Use the soundboard 100%. And that was back when you had like landlines and no one, you can't just call our ID or just ignore it. You just have
Star 67 or whatever it is.
Oh yeah. The good
and they actually can't track you.
Yeah, I love a good prank call.
Another scene that I thought was pretty good, the mailroom, when he's throwing jury duty, pink slip, eviction notice.
Yep.
That was pretty good.
Stuff. Really funny. Any other stuff that's just in general, I think the idea of having a lights like cannon gun that like lights your home. That was cool. That's a good idea. And that's funny. That's funny. Also, over the top Christmas lights, people, fucking relax. Just in like real life.
Mm-hmm.
Chill out with like the entire yard full of like inflatables and lights all over the place. Relax.
Yeah.
Just relax.
Also, there's a laundry list of issues I have with the mayor, but he literally took the award from the person who needed it most at that point and tried to get engaged. And
mayor's a bit of a creep. Let's talk about. Go ahead. Were you going to say something?
Part of that scene, also a pretty funny scene where he's doing all the competitions and stuff. Really gross when they're shoving all the pudding and the fudge in his mouth. Very disgusting. Very off-putting. Pretty gross. But that's all I have to say about that.
Let's talk.
Since you mentioned his Navy SEAL training and stuff, I think he maybe tapped into that with the fudge when he was like, "All right, give me more." I think he may have just had to, because that can't be enjoyable. Also, are they going to mess up his makeup and have to redo it all after they're shoving?
I don't know how many takes they did to that.
I don't know.
But it was disgusting. I'm sure he spit a bunch of crap out.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You just brought this up. The most disgusting, most nightmare-inducing part of this whole movie is that baby Grinch.
Young
Just
Grinch.
petrifying.
When
Nightmare fuel.
when he shows up, did you guys catch what was happening in the house that
They were
night?
swingers.
They're putting all their keys in a bowl.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
So that was one
And
of the
they
things
didn't
that
notice
said
him until the next morning. They literally left a baby out in the cold while they were having a swingers party.
they're having a swingers party.
Yikes.
That was one of the things that got past, I guess, this widow.
Why?
How?
Just in general, why do we really need a backstory of the Grinch? Like, I think it works well enough.
No
It's like
shit.
the Grinch is an evil guy that lives up in a mountain.
Yeah, you
and
don't
he
really
hates
need much
Christmas.
more, but I guess it gives you why.
Yeah,
But
here's the thing about it that it all
But the
blows up for
why
me
doesn't
is
need
that
to be in it.
as a baby, he already inherently just hates Christmas. He eats the Santa thing. When he's at the table as a little kid, he's drawing Santa blowing up and burning. So it's not even the trauma of the kids making fun of him that makes him hate Christmas. He just already inherently does. So it doubly just doesn't make
just hates all the people.
Now he hates the Who's.
But he did come back around when he thought he had a chance with the girl.
Yeah.
Had
Right,
this
that's
explosion of holiday excitement, building this tree topper for Martha May.
Yeah.
We
and then
either
Augustus
needed
screws it up.
way more of that stuff or way less of that stuff. It was
Probably.
not enough one way or the other on the Grinch backstory, I think.
Yeah. Just incredibly creepy, that little thing.
Yeah, I assume that's like a puppet, I would assume.
Although his
or like
little
a
lisp,
doll.
very funny.
Yeah. We all had some. Did everyone have a little mishap shaving when they were 10 years old?
I'm sure.
cut
Yeah.
yourself?
10. I don't know.
What a hack job.
Whatever. 13. Whenever the first time you
what
tried
a
to
hack
shave.
job.
What a hack job.
Yeah.
So mean that he gets him the clippers.
Yeah, it's
whenever
fucked
he comes back. The mayor. What a piece of shit.
Yeah, real
total
piece of work.
scumbag.
Also, though, those clippers look like, how do you not hack yourself up with that thing? It looks like a hedge clipper or something.
It's exactly what I was going to say. It looks like
they set him up to
lawn
fail.
tool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've all probably been there though. Not with that, but just like young Grinch getting picked on.
Mm-hmm.
You probably hate those people too.
Mm-hmm.
Little heartbreak, and then the whole class makes fun of you.
Yeah.
Hate to see it. Young Grinch, I don't blame him, but he really held the grudge. He held it for a while.
Yeah. Another scene based on the grudge is when he goes out and he just opens the phone book and he yells that he hates every single person in the phone book. Loathe entirely.
Yeah, there's
Hate. Loathe entirely.
Yeah.
very good.
When he this is probably more towards the beginning, but just another quote that I wrote down was funny. He has that little some sort of X-ray deal where you can see his heart, and he holds it up to himself and he says, "Down a size and a half, and this year I'll keep it off."
Yeah.
He's very, hates Christmas.
Say pretty much anytime it's Grinch, and so it's basically just Jim Carrey and a dog. Like those scenes are always hilarious.
Oh, forget about Max.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget about Max.
We got no Max. We got no backstory. No Max story. No backstory on Max. Can't believe there wasn't a bit on how Max came to be.
Yeah.
I need, whenever he's planning to steal Christmas, the USS Whoville hat. I need one of those hats. That rules.
Wow.
I actually
cool.
thought the same thing last night when I watched
I'm
it.
sure you can find it.
So that's a reference to Francis Ford Coppola in directing Apocalypse Now. Little fun fact, because he's like, "What's your motivation? What are you going to do? Oh, you reject the. Oh wow, there's a picture of the hat. Yeah, need that. You reject the cheer of Christmas. You throw your nose away. It's perfect. How did I not think of that? That's also a funny scene.
Oh
Very
man,
good.
that hat is awesome.
How much?
Yeah.
How much is that hat, Wes?
What's that hat on Etsy, Wes? What's click that link.
Ooh, this item is unavailable.
Oh yeah, people know.
Oh.
Yeah.
People know.
Let's see if I can do some shopping.
Do some digging.
Favorite scene? Either of you?
Drew, do you have one off the top of your head?
It's no doubt for me. Obviously, I already said it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that string that Wes talked about is, as funny. The best scene in both movies. I'll
go. But fashionably late.
I think
It can't
I
be
think
anything else.
that's
Maybe
my
something.
favorite.
Maybe the mailroom.
Yeah,
maybe
the mailroom's good.
If you're a real
Or the,
sucker, the sleigh at the top of the mountain when he has to save her.
Just
And
it's cool.
Yeah.
The part where he has to play all the games and like win the award type of thing is pretty good.
That's pretty good
I'm
too.
number one. No
Yeah,
child can beat the Grinch.
Yeah. I think we all have to agree. That's the best scene.
What's that song? Dun 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 dun. Where he's sack racing. Sack racing the kids. That song playing.
I think the music in general in this movie is awesome.
Yeah.
It's very well done.
Yeah. Well done. One gripe I have, all the times in the Whoville, they have this like filter over it that makes it all look like foggy,
Yeah,
and hazy,
it's all like
and it
dark.
looks like dog shit.
Yeah,
dude, they're in a snowflake.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like snow globy looking. I don't know. It's not the best.
You can't have sun inside of a snowflake. It would melt.
I think this movie could have done with a little more. It's a little too dark and mysterious for what it is. It's a children's movie, essentially.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm trying to think of other Dr. Seuss movies. Like
Cat in the Hat, that movie is fucked up.
Weird.
That movie is an acid trip of a fucking movie.
That's...
It is demented. You should never show your children that.
No thanks.
And I think that's like the ultimate response for any gripe to this movie is it's Dr. Seuss. Like, what do you expect? Of course, it's not going to be perfect.
Dr. Seuss,
the dude makes up words.
Somebody check that guy out.
Yeah.
Neither of us are married, but Drew, when you proposed to your wife, did you throw in a new car as well? I thought that was a real nice touch.
If I would have had the funds to do it, I may have had it as a backup, which he clearly he was clearly prepared for the backup. He knew she wasn't going to say yes, right, and so he had a
ring and a car. Pretty good.
The three stacked diamond ring.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
Pretty incredible. I don't think diamonds really work like that. How would you attach those?
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Dude, they're who diamonds. I don't know.
That's my gripe.
Another good scene is the montage when he is stealing Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
He puts the hose and he's sucking up all the
sneaking around
stuff, and he hikes the roast beast.
They're similar to Elf. I also think the turn of the Grinch is a bit.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, it's not about presents. That's what flipped him, basically. He heard the people singing.
Pretty dumb.
He heard the people singing, and he's like, oh, okay.
The turn of the Grinch is dumb.
Yeah.
For as much as you could hate something, just 100 out of 100, you could hate something. The turn of being like, I love it.
Yeah.
Is pretty silly. But
what really ultimately makes me question that is Cindy Lou Who is also now like a dark figure as she's grown up. So I think if that scene didn't change her, I'm not buying it.
Yeah,
it didn't make her the most joyous person in the world. So a lot of dark eye makeup.
I think she would accompany me to emo night. I think it would.
She was in an emo alternate rock band for a while.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, she was in an alt rock band for. I don't know if she still is. I don't remember the name of it. I should have wrote it down. Yeah.
Taylor Momsen, let's go to emo night.
Yeah.
What's up? How you doing?
Rock on, girl.
Got a grade? Got a for the movie? You got a number out of 100? Or any other scenes you want to talk about?
Anyone else got any takes, any opinions, any thoughts? I don't really have anything else.
Awesome.
Jim Carrey's great.
The scene where she is in what's his place called? Just his lair.
Mount something, I think. It's there's
Crumpet.
Some name for it. I don't know.
With the gif where he's like jumping at her, where you always see where he's like trying to scare her. Basically, that's pretty funny. That's pretty good. That's just her standing there and Jim Carrey just being a psycho.
Yeah,
for however long it took.
Yeah, I would probably give this movie, because I just watched it this morning, so I didn't give it a grade yet.
Watched it last night.
I would probably give it a 67 out of 100. 68 out of 100.
Yeah, I also vote Elf. I think it's better. I would give this on a similar scale as you, just kind of a little bit higher for both, somewhere in the mid 73, 74.
Drew, if you had to grade this movie out of 100, what would you give it?
I'm going with the 75.
Yeah, seems fair.
Also,
Yeah,
so
like
the
similar gap.
just to add to some of like the weird with the swinger scene right before that, because Cindy Lou Who goes to ask about the history of the Grinch, and they start with, well, how is the Grinch made, basically, and they show like some random baby being blown onto a porch, and a husband coming out and said, "Hey, honey, the baby's here, and he looks like your boss." It's like, come on.
Yikes.
Oops.
Kids movies
Merry
this time
Christmas.
love doing this. They had to sneak in stuff that the kids wouldn't understand, that the adults like Shrek is the king of this.
Yeah.
Like so many references. You're like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
I'd probably watch it now and pick up something. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, it's like that's
Don't remember that.
It's kind of gross.
We can, before we finish, we can talk the love deal is so weird.
Yeah, it doesn't need a romance
It doesn't
angle.
even pay off. Like,
No. He's just like, I actually loved you all
I'm
along,
just-
Grinch.
I'm
You
just hot for
disgusting.
the Grinch.
Yeah, you disgusting, green, hairy, stinky man. I love
But
you.
did you catch the reason why? Did you
That
catch
she
it?
loved
She
him?
loves Christmas, and Christmas colors are red and green.
Well, there's no other reason then. It's a great point.
Yeah, that's just
She
impeccable
said it.
reasoning.
Yeah, she did say that.
So
did say that,
I mean,
Who could argue with that?
he's Christmas colors. So
Jesus.
So
and the muscles.
Simple.
She also says that.
Oh yeah,
When
he threw
lifts up the
he
tree,
threw
and
the tree.
chucks it
Yeah.
against the wall.
yeah,
Yeah, I love a good anger
Big, strong
management
man.
candidate.
yeah. Well, Grinch, we love it. Holds a special place in our heart, but I think we're all
Really
in
does.
agreements. Elf, moving on to the next round.
Yeah. By pretty. I think this was a clear winner.
Oh, Home Alone,
Over-
Love Actually was a bigger gap.
I'm talking, yeah, other than Lethal Weapon, Die Hard.
I think that'll be maybe the tightest one of any of these.
Yeah,
I,
would
don't know,
agree.
maybe not,
I would
but
agree because I hadn't seen those that much. I didn't have a strong take, and you were kind of trying to decide, and I'm like, I don't really,
yeah.
I don't feel that strongly about this. So
I
It would
do
be
have a question.
Okay.
So when you move on to next rounds and you've already rated movies, does everything cancel? Like, when does it become a true head-to-head? Like, how do you stack up? You already rated one higher than another, so you can't just like automatically move everybody through because then you have nothing to talk about, right? Or
So I think the ratings that I give, like, I think within the context of the best Christmas movie rather than
Yeah.
the best overall movie is more the discussion here. So a movie being a technically better movie does not necessarily guarantee it a win.
right, yeah, we're still talking. And I think I would, if I had to go back, probably switch to Lethal Weapon because I think in a bracket sense, I'd like Die Hard more, but in like if we have to consider it as a Christmas movie, I would advance it just for a few of the aspects in the movie.
Mhm.
Like it plays a little better towards like a Christmas bracket. But yeah, we'll have to reassess based on a few things. But
so the scores don't necessarily mean a victory. A higher rated
right, it's just an
movie-
overall rating of the movie in general, I would say.
Yeah, I think I think I rated Die Hard higher than I rated Lethal Weapon, or it was
Maybe-
very
Yeah,
close.
it was maybe a tie or one.
But I moved Lethal Weapon ahead.
Yeah.
So
So we'll have to
Makes sense.
reevaluate. The next
Fun
matchup,
stuff.
I think Bobby will be joining
Bobby
us.
will be joining
What's our next
us.
matchup?
It will be A Christmas Story versus The Polar Express.
Oh man,
Another matchup.
Some heavy
Before we get out of
hitters.
here, Drew, big Georgia Bulldogs fan. Where's your head at after the SEC title game, going into the playoff? How
Yeah,
are
this
we
will-
feeling?
This will transition into our weekend recap a bit. So as we leave Drew here, we'll start with the playoff and his matchup with you get Michigan, right?
So yes, Michigan. So Michigan has just been running the ball over everyone, and that's not happening against Georgia. So unless they can figure out how to score a ton through the air, which is obviously possible because Alabama figured out it pretty easily, it seemed. But I think it'll be fine. Kirby's a little questionable. Hate Stetson Bennett. Hate him.
Do they make the move? Do you have you're in the middle of it. You're in the eye of the
Do you
storm.
want my conspiracy theory? Well, this is my hope. My hope is that Georgia's just better than Michigan, which I think is true. I think they can beat them with Stetson. But I think what Kirby's trying to do, since he's been Tua'd in Jalen Hurts with the halftime QB switch to beat him by Saban twice, I think that's what he's waiting for. He's trying to, he wants to be Saban, so he's trying to
I think
beat him at his own game.
I was a little surprised by the line that came out. There's a look-ahead line for the rematch, and Georgia it's like a pick 'em. It's Georgia like -1 or pick 'em right now. I was a little surprised by that, just how thoroughly that they won and were able to move the ball. I agree that Michigan will not be able to move the ball at all. They don't have the talent on the edge that Alabama has. I think they will stuff the run and just beat them 28-3 or whatever they have to do. I think they can do that with Stetson Bennett. I think that's also possible that he saves him, and I think he could start him, not like bring him in relief. I think he could start him in the championship game.
My thought on he's gotten basically no reps this entire season.
It would be fucked up to see your first live bullets.
Yeah,
in a championship
that
game.
seems like a dangerous game to play if that's your plan the whole time. I don't know.
That's why I was pissed when
JT Daniels needs to know that's the plan. And I'd assume Stetson Bennett would figure out that's the plan. I'd assume Stetson Bennett would be like, fuck that. I know. That would just, I don't know.
There's two there. That's the stuff that I don't like with. That's why I appreciate that Dabo benched. I mean, it's Trevor Lawrence, so that makes sense. But you bench a guy of 2 years who's lost 2 wins ever. You got to, at that level, if you're going to keep getting 5-star quarterbacks, maybe play one, not the walk-on who came as a walk-on, left for JUCO, came back just because you had an extra scholarship and everybody else got hurt.
Yeah.
So
do you think they can beat Alabama?
I think he's good.
Do you think they can
I don't
beat
think
Bama
Stetson
with
Bennett ever eat. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know either. That was
I hope, but I don't think so.
That was a shocking result.
I was on the wrong side of that game. I thought they would be able to. I thought they were the better team, and they could still beat them. And I think they could still beat them with Bennett. I don't know.
I think if JT Daniels was as good as we're hyping him up to be, he would have been playing by now.
You're probably right.
I'm hoping that it is truly he's still they just want him to be 100% recovered. I hope that's what it is.
Yeah, me too.
Otherwise, I don't know what Kirby's doing.
Kirby Smart's not a dipshit. He's not a complete idiot. If he was,
he's a defensive guy though.
Yeah, but if he
and then he brought in Monken, who's awesome.
That team, if he was that much better, I think he would just be in by now, right?
We've already seen
because
not start Justin Fields.
It's true.
That's Romney's not better than Fields. Hot take? I don't think
that is damning on old Curb.
Jake Fromm, yeah, like you said, certainly not a better quarterback than Justin Fields. I think we can all confirm that.
Point. I don't know,
but he's loyal. The 31st.
Oh yeah, they play those. Yeah, that's right.
Which is insane. You got 3 weeks off.
Yeah,
a lot of time to prep.
A lot of prep time, and then you get 10 days for the next game.
Yeah, it seems like Is there any other sport where you have that big of a gap? I guess Division III national championship back in the day, they used to wait till Final Four weekend, so you would have you'd win your Final Four game and then wait a month to play the championship on Final Four weekend. Which I think they redid that, so now it just flows normally. But that's a huge break.
The NFL takes a week off. That's it.
Would you want that much time? Unless you're fighting injuries and that lets you get healthy.
Yeah, I think getting the guys healthy, I think it would be preferred because literally everyone on the team is banged up by that point in the season. So I think it's good.
Yeah, I think it's fine. And then you get 10 days after that. Yeah, I mean it's not good when you're in a 4-team tournament with Nick Saban and you're not as good a coach as him, and he can prep for that long. But it is what it is. I don't know. I think they steamroll Michigan, and then we'll see. I want Georgia to win. I picked them to win preseason. We'll see. I want them to win.
I want them to win also.
All right.
And how good is Bryce Young? How good is he?
I was kind of up and down with
some
him.
of the stuff that he did,
He's-
like, just made me think that he's like a little bit lucky.
It's
for
so
some
bizarre
reason.
that he won't run. He's
No.
reluctant to run. It's just really weird.
He's
And that stupid
incredibly
lateral that he had.
conservative with how much ability he has, which I assume is like a Saban thing. Like Saban, if you're gonna fuck around, I got other guys.
Yeah.
Maybe he learned from Jalen Hurts that just because you can run doesn't mean that he wants you to run, and if you do, you better score or make a big play.
Yeah, he's also a million times better thrower than Jalen Hurts is.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
Which helps. Yeah, no, I think he's really good.
Yeah. I think he's gonna
Is
win
he the Heisman?
Yes, 100%. After that game.
After that game.
And there's no like other intriguing option.
No, like
no other
Stroud would have
compelling-
been the other guy, but they lost, so he's out.
The defensive lineman from Michigan that they just happened to throw in there. I don't know why they even do that.
He's not
Is
even
it-
close to as good as the sophomore from Alabama. Please. Insulting that he's invited. He had one good week. Well, not literally, but he had one like big game.
Heisman week.
Heisman moment week in one of the bigger games of the year. I think he'll be a good pro.
He's gonna be a great NFL player, probably, but yeah, it's stupid.
It's dumb. He's
In
not
a
as
year
good.
where we had a lot of really good offensive players.
Kenneth Walker didn't get invited.
Yeah,
Pretty dumb.
that's a joke.
Fuck yourself. All right, Drew. Thanks for joining us to talk Grinch and Elf. We'll
Absolutely.
take a quick
Thanks,
break,
fellas.
and we'll be back with a little weekend roundup to end the podcast. So be right back.
All right, we're back. Thanks again for joining us, Drew. We're back. Same podcast, different shirt.
Different time of day.
Pick it up Sunday night, halftime of Bears-Packers. Good game going on.
Surprisingly, one of the better games of the week. A lot of blowouts. There were
Tons
a
of
couple
points.
good ones.
Tons of points, tons of big plays. Let's wrap up the weekend that was. Where do you want to start?
So here's the order of operations here. We're gonna rank the 14 teams as of today that are in the playoffs. The
Okay.
2 remaining games will not affect who is in the playoffs. They will affect the seeding. But we're gonna rank the 14 teams. I think maybe just going through our list, we'll probably hit all the points from this week that we want to hit. Do you think that makes
probably
sense?
so. Yeah, that makes sense.
Who do you have at number 14, the 14th best playoff team in the NFL as it stands right now?
I will say, we're not going to hit all the points I want to talk about through this list. So after
We'll
we do
say
this,
what you want to say then right now.
Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, yeah. It needs to happen. He sucks. Right now, he sucks a lot.
I don't give a shit who's on your team, who's coaching you. You can't be this bad. You got to be better.
I mean, is it possible that he's been drafted into one of the worst situations any player's ever been drafted into ever?
Yeah, maybe.
At least tied with a lot
Yeah,
of
it's
other
pretty
people.
bad. I mean, Urban Meyer is an idiot. I don't think he's not a complete like football ignorant. You know what I'm saying? He's won a national championship. It's in college. He's always been thought of at least offensively.
He thinks he's
Pretty
a
well
winner,
yeah,
according to his press
No
conferences.
kidding. I wanted to bring that up too. I mean, is he week 1? Is he the coach of the Jags next year?
Fuck no. Whether he quits or they fire him,
1 year, one and done.
fuck no. He doesn't want to be the coach of the Jaguars next year.
Boy, 20-0 today. And that handshake at midfield after the game.
He's so done. He's such a little bitch. He's such a baby.
I don't know if there's probably even worse situations. I mean, the Jets, Zach Wilson this year too. I mean,
Sure.
that's awful.
Yeah.
Pretty
Zach
awful, too.
Wilson's been pretty similar. Zach
Lawrence
Wilson-
has been worse.
He's played every game, which makes his numbers look a little worse. But yeah, probably. Threw 4 picks today.
No touchdowns, 4 interceptions, got shut out.
He's thrown, like 14 interceptions this
I don't
year
know.
or something?
Yeah, he threw. I said this on the podcast before. He threw 1 touchdown in November. I don't know what context you want to put this in, but I have a list of players here. Lawrence Orr.
Okay, I was literally just thinking the same thing.
I have a
So
list of
good
players
you
here.
Came up with
I
this.
don't know what context you want to put it in, like, because if you want to do just like start at 1 year next year for 1 year, we could bring the whole league into it. But you can't do like old, like
Just tell me the
35
names
plus.
and I'll give you context for my pick.
Lawrence or Mac Jones?
Mac Jones. Next year, 10 years, Mac Jones.
Disconnect from the Patriots from Bill Belichick on the jet.
I
Like,
just
as a
I
quarterback.
understand. I'm sure that'll make a difference, but from what I've seen, there's nothing that inspires any hope in me in Trevor Lawrence.
He's been bad. Trevor Lawrence
Mac
or
Jones would not lead the league in interceptions right now if he played for the Jaguars, in my opinion.
Trevor Lawrence or Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill. Well,
That's the thing.
next year, Ryan Tannehill. If I'm starting a franchise, I'd still take Lawrence probably.
Yeah, that's the thing. The context you want to talk about. I mean, Tannehill, if you're 30, obviously we'll just take the chance.
Yeah,
and take the
exactly.
7 years.
Yeah. Tannehill, his is his peak. He's reached his ceiling. We know what he is. Unless you have an incredible team around him, he's not going to win you a Super Bowl. I'll just roll the dice on Lawrence versus Tannehill.
Lawrence or Carson Wentz?
How fucked is this? Like, imagine night of the draft, we would be having this conversation right now. That's so fucked.
People are calling him John Elway, Andrew Luck.
I'll take Trevor Lawrence still. I think there's been a lot of great quarterbacks that have had bad rookie years. Probably not this bad.
That's the thing.
But
The big thing you can point to is Peyton Manning had and someone else too had a
set the record for most interceptions in a season too.
Yeah, Manning went
think.
1 in 15 maybe.
Something like that. It's hard playing quarterback. You say that every week. It's hard. He's obviously got all the tools in the world as a size, athletic profile thrower.
I don't have him written down, but Lawrence or Kirk Cousins?
I mean, next year Kirk Cousins not even close. Similar to Tannehill, I think Kirk Cousins is maybe a little better than Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, I'll take Lawrence, I guess.
We talked. This list kind of came from this topic. We talked earlier today when he was in the process of throwing all these interceptions. Lawrence or Trey Lance? Literally, he's taken
Trey Lance.
30 snaps.
Give me what's behind the door versus the prize that I see.
Said it. The devil you don't know versus the devil you do.
Give me Trey Lance. I don't know. Maybe it'll pay off. Maybe it won't. But I'll take the chance.
Take the chance. Baker Mayfield or Taylor Heineke?
Lawrence. Taylor Heineke's not good. Baker Mayfield's not good.
One season, you'll take Lawrence still?
I mean, next year, situation is so dependent on all this.
On the Browns, Lawrence or Baker Mayfield?
Next year, Baker Mayfield. If for the next 5, Trevor Lawrence.
All right. I think I know the answer, but it's on the list, and it's gross. Jalen Hurts?
In fact, you have to think about this.
A lot better record than Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. Yeah.
I think I know the answer now. 3 or 4 weeks ago might have been a difference. Tua or Trevor Lawrence?
Tua. Gotta be.
It's got to be. I assume Justin Fields?
Yeah.
Take Justin Fields? I don't know what you're going to say here. Again, 2 or 3 weeks ago would have been different. Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson? The fact that you sighed and exhaled like that is disgusting.
Trevor Lawrence.
You
Trevor
hate
Lawrence.
Zach Wilson. All right, here's an interesting one. Trevor Lawrence, or you can have your pick of any of the quarterbacks in the upcoming draft. So we're talking, for those that don't follow either college football or the draft prospects that well, we're talking Matt Corral, we're talking Malik Willis from Liberty, Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati, Kenny Pickett,
Sam Powell.
Pittsburgh, Sam Howell, Carson Strong. Those are the main ones. Keaton Slovis. I don't think anyone else would be. Would you take? And you don't get to have the best one. You just get your pick. You get the number 1 pick, and you're taking a quarterback.
The number 1 pick in the draft?
No, you get.
Do I get the Jaguars pick?
You get your choice of one of those quarterbacks or Lawrence.
Wait. But I get to pick any of them.
Yes, your choice. You get the first. Yes,
I have the number 1 overall pick, but I have to take a quarterback.
Yes.
I think none of those guys scream superstar to me. None of them jump out to me as surefire all pros. I'll probably take Lawrence, I guess. I don't know. I think this situation is so bad. It's so bad. It's such a joke. It's so far from anything resembling a real NFL franchise right now. They are such a joke. Other than the Houston Texans, I mean, they are...
You can't fire the owners. Shame on them for hiring Urban Meyer. You deserve it.
I don't think anybody on the world...
You deserve it.
Nobody in the world who watches football, who's a serious commentator or even a serious fan or just a serious person was like, this is going to work.
Nailed it.
Urban Meyer is going to be a good coach. He kind of just gave up and stopped coaching college because it was too much work. He's going to go right into the NFL to the worst roster in the league, and he's probably going to grind it out and get him some wins. No, he's going to give up.
Yeah.
That's what he's done the last 5 years. He gives up.
Yeah.
He's given up again.
I think that's probably the right move, picking Lawrence. If you could say after a year you could pick one of those guys, maybe you'd take
I'll see what happens with them.
The odds of picking the guy from those, it seems like a total crapshoot.
See that this year.
There's no one that stands out, but even more so in this one.
Yeah,
like it's
all
a total toss-up.
It's a bunch of B- guys.
Yeah.
It's hard to say who's going to be great.
All right, that was fun. Didn't think we'd be doing that at the end of the year.
Oh, it's sad. I feel bad for him. I really do.
Too. I do too. There's obvious arm talent. There's a reason he was the first pick for like 3 years. It's ugly. All right, we can move on to the teams now, to the rankings. I just had to talk about that.
They stink. It's sad. Hopefully they get a new coach. Hopefully they get some better players. Maybe draft. I don't know. They need to draft someone at every single position, basically.
Yeah.
I can't really think of a player other than like Josh Allen off the top of my head. Jacksonville Josh Allen, that is, who's good on their team. DJ Shark's okay.
Yeah, he's been out for the year.
They'll have ETN back next year.
Yeah, ETN, sure. Illinois State's James Robinson, shouts out.
I couldn't name any other of their defensive players. Couldn't name one.
Yeah, so let's talk rankings. Do you want to read the teams that are in the playoffs at this point?
Yeah, let me pull it up.
Okay.
Let me pull it up.
We're gonna there's 7 teams in each conference now. There's only one bye. There's an extra wild card now. So there'll be 14 teams of the playoff teams right now. I'd say the picture is pretty solidified. We have a few weeks left.
Yeah, there's a couple teams on the
season.
bubble still that could make it. That have realistic shots. Okay, NFC. 7, Washington. 6, San Francisco. 5, LA. 4, Cowboys. 3, Packers. 2, Bucks. 1, Cardinals. LA Rams, obviously. AFC. 7, Buffalo. 6, Indy. 5, Chargers. 4, Ravens. 3, Chiefs. 2, Titans. 1, Patriots.
Okay. Some of that seeding could change around with the Sunday Nighter and the Monday Nighter, but as of right now, those are the teams. I think, and this is just a power ranking teams,
best teams,
neutral site, team, roster, coach. I think the worst team is Washington.
Agreed. They're 14th for me as well.
I think they have the worst quarterback.
Yeah,
maybe him or I have the 2 worst quarterbacks at the bottom. I have them, and San Francisco at 13.
So, let me give you before everyone gets mad at me and yells at me for who I have at 13, and I think you'll not yell at me
the Ravens?
for who I have at 13. I'm under the assumption if Lamar's out, the Ravens are worse than Washington, maybe?
Yeah, they won't make the playoffs.
No.
They won't win another game.
No. Yeah. So my assumption was Lamar is hurt. If Lamar plays, they're still not very high.
No, they're 12th for me. I'm assuming Lamar's playing.
Okay. I have the Ravens 13th and the 49ers 12th as of now.
Well,
I'm under the assumption Lamar is
even
out
with Lamar
next week.
They're decimated. We didn't know this at the time. We didn't know this at the time. Harbaugh said he went for 2 at the end of that Steelers game because he was out of players.
Yeah.
We didn't have any defensive backs left. We couldn't play overtime. We couldn't field the team.
Mm-hmm.
They're decimated. It's a bad scene. So I have them 12th.
Okay.
San Francisco 13th.
My number 11 is the Indianapolis Colts.
Interesting.
Where do you have the Indianapolis Colts?
I have them 2 spots higher than that.
Okay.
I have the Chargers and the Titans behind the Colts.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I think the Colts are one of the worst matchups in the league for the Chargers. I think they could just run it straight down the field. I think they're built to win right now and in the playoffs. I think their team is built for that. So I would have them ranked a little bit higher.
But do you trust Carson Wentz? I think Carson Wentz.
We've
gives me
seen
some
the
pause.
Chargers. They've been hot. They're up and down.
They are up and down. I like their highest ups more than the Colts, I think.
I think the Colts are more steady. I think they're a more reliable team.
I just don't think they're that good of a team. I like Jonathan Taylor. I think they can run the ball. I don't trust Wentz. Their guys on the outside are good, not great. Their defense is good enough, not anything that strikes fear into me.
Yeah, I think the Chargers' defense is their downfall. And they can get it jammed down their throat. They can get run on. But fair enough. Definitely have a better quarterback. That was very evident today. And it's just a fact. Herbert's better than Tannehill or Wentz. So I have the Titans and the Colts ahead of them. I have the Chargers at, 11?
Yeah.
And I have Titans, Colts.
I have the Bills 10th. I have them 10th.
They're a spot ahead of the Colts for me. They rallied today against Tampa, but they got their ass beat for 2.5 quarters, and then Tampa kind of fell asleep at the wheel and woke up and had to go win that game. But
the defense looks tired.
They're candy ass, maybe?
The defense looks tired. They can't run the ball at all.
No, they did. They made a big deal about this. Hansen did on. They didn't have a rushing attempt by a running back in the first half.
No, Josh Allen had 100 rushing yards. Josh Allen has to do absolutely everything for this team.
That's just when you have to throw every play and you don't have. I mean, they have Diggs, but they don't have that many. I mean, they have Beasley.
Yeah, they don't have.
It's not
Kansas
like they're the greatest
City
show on turf.
They don't have.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tampa Bay
I don't
type
trust,
weapons.
I don't trust their
they're
style of play.
They're a faulty. They're not a great roster construction.
I have them at 8, so I have them a little bit ahead of you. I guess I trust Allen. I don't know. He's one of the
Look,
better
I love
quarterbacks.
Josh Allen. I love Stephon Diggs. Head to head, we're seeing these teams that are physical, playoff-built teams. They have to sort of hope on a miracle drive by Josh Allen at the end for them to win these games.
Yeah, I have them a spot ahead, but another team, the Colts, would just be a nightmare for.
Yeah.
Just Taylor would eat their lunch.
Yeah.
They just candy ass. It is what it is. I know in the 50-mile-an-hour winds, the Patriots made them look stupid, throwing it 3 times. That was a weird game script type of thing. But
shit like that is the type of games not to that extreme, but you have to be able to win that way in the playoffs.
yeah,
I mean,
it's not going to be
especially
70
your
and sunny in
defense.
Buffalo.
You're right. Your defense, it's bizarre that, I mean, obviously you kind of get the players you can get, but it's kind of
feels
bizarre they built this team
It
this
feels
way.
like the Colts and the Bills should be switched.
Correct.
The Colts should be
Colts
the
are
Buffalo.
built to play in Buffalo. The Bills are built to
in
play
the dome.
indoors.
Yes, I know. It's weird. Yeah. I'm worried. I'm definitely worried. 100%.
I'm worried they'll even make the playoffs. They're seventh
on the
place
fringe.
right
That's
now.
true.
They're 7th place right now.
That's true.
You want to hear something fucked up?
I would love to.
They're one game better than the Miami Dolphins right now. Think about that.
Wow.
The Dolphins are 6-7. They are 7-6.
They're 7. They've lost like 4 or 5 in a row,
They're
haven't they?
7-6.
Wow.
The Browns are 7-6.
could miss
The Bengals are 7-6. The Broncos are 7-6.
they
The
gotta
Raiders
go
are 6-7. The Steelers are 6-1.
They got to go to New England again. They got maybe next week. I'm gonna check their. I'm sure they. I think they have maybe the Dolphins again.
Pats next week.
Yeah, they
Falcons at home. Jets at home.
Yeah, pretty soft landing, but damn, if they have a slip up. They fuck up.
No, Panthers at home next week. Bill at
And then the
Patriots,
Patriots
2 weeks.
Gotcha. So they should be fine, but yeah, they
Maybe.
are,
I don't know.
they are not exactly coasting to the finish line here. Yeah, Bills are in trouble. The Rams haven't played this week, but I have them next.
I have them 9th for me as well.
They're
We'll
up
see what
19.
happens.
They're-
They'll move up or down probably based on how they fare against Arizona on Monday night.
Yeah, big game.
We haven't seen them this week. The defense has been a colossal letdown. They went out and got all these guys, and it's not looking like it's helping at
Boy,
all.
Von Miller, buddy.
Not
Show me
producing.
something.
Not producing.
Show me something. Make
You
a
would think
play.
even without him, like,
Make a
you know,
play.
they got Floyd, they got Donald, they got Ramsey, and it doesn't seem like it's a big deal for teams to move the ball on them. The offense is pretty good, but
not sure why
I
they,
think they're relying a little heavily on Stafford to go out there and win games by himself, which you would think, based on the roster construction, he should have to do less to win games.
Yeah, and he's been pressing a lot too. He's been throwing a lot of interceptions. Not good.
They're kind of similar to how the Chiefs looked early in the year right now, to me.
I'm telling you, watch every game for the most part for pretty much every season. Robert Woods is huge for that team.
Yeah.
What people like, you can say whatever you want. The way he run blocks and the way he is always in the right spots, the way it's the connection that he has with Stafford and the way he knows the offense, it's huge. It really is. And just plugging in Odell Beckham is just not the same. He doesn't care if he catches 2 passes for 20 yards. He's going to bust his ass and run block and do what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Team captain really hurts. It really does. So maybe they can recover. I'm not real optimistic about a playoff run, but we'll see.
That transitions nicely to me. The Rams defense is missing the Chargers head coach, Brandon Staley, who I have 8th, the LA Chargers.
They are. He was really great for them.
The LA Chargers are hot right now.
They are. You have them really
The LA
high.
Chargers are up and down. I like you, am fucking intoxicated by Justin Herbert right now.
God.
I'm intoxicated.
Oh, just let that
It's-
thing sing,
it's
baby.
injected in my
from
body.
the gods. The arm from the gods.
I mean, he looks incredible.
Just throws it 70 in the air with ease. It's so
They've
hot.
got weapons all
So hot.
over the place.
Keenan Allen was out today and they scored
Keenan
40.
Allen was out. They've got weapons all over the place. Granted, they played the Giants, who are
Yeah, they
basically
suck.
trying to lose. He outdueled Mike Glennon today, so
Big win.
whatever.
Big win.
I have the Chargers 8th.
All right.
I'm
I'm worried about their defense.
In my mind, their defense should be better. They
should
have
be.
guys on paper similar to the Rams. It's like these are all good players.
Yeah.
Why, as a collective unit,
They got
are they
some-
not
They got
performing better?
some big boys back up front. They've been better against the run. They were just getting gashed earlier in the year. I think they've gotten a little more healthy along the front. They're doing a little bit better, but I'm worried about their defense in a big spot. But Herbert could give a minute.
This has been such a weird season. All these teams are so volatile.
Seems like
with
they've
their
all had their
outcomes.
lulls of
Yeah,
poor play.
they're all so up and down. Really, only these 4 teams at the top have any consistency.
Yeah, next team I have is the Cowboys.
I have the Titans at 7.
Yeah, you haven't mentioned the Titans yet. I heard week 18, Henry might be back. They're aiming for week 18. How many weeks?
18.
Are there? 18. Yeah, there's 17 games. 18. Week 18. They're aiming for that if they need him. But if not, I'm thinking he's going to be ready for the playoffs. So could be a big get for him. Julio's back today. AJ Brown. That's a team that might get healthy all at the right time, and someone you forget about. We were talking about them in our power rankings. 1, 2, 3 early. So, yeah, right now I'm still pumping the brakes, but I don't blame you.
This is a team that's poised to sneak up on people and make a run. I know it's an easy comp with Vrabel to call them Patriots-like. They seem like they can plug and play whoever, and they don't fall off a cliff too badly. They've had some bad weeks, don't get me wrong. They have had some downs, and I think I've doubted them this whole year, but I think this is about right for them right now. They seem to be able to plug in a running back, bully you, and muck the game up in a way that favors them, which is the type of team, and it's shown in the playoffs. They've had decent success in the playoffs. They've won a game the last few years. They lost last year, but they've made it to the second weekend 3 out of the 4 years. So
Yeah. Reasonable. I have Cowboys in this spot.
I'm confused So that was 7.
I unfortunately don't have mine numbered, which was a bad move.
That was 7, unless.
I have the Rams at 7.
Okay, so you haven't talked about the Rams yet?
No, I mean, we talked about them when you
So
have
you
them a
have
little
Dallas
bit lower.
6th.
Yeah, I have Dallas 6.
So do I. Okay. That's our 6th pick. We both have Dallas. I think
We don't really have to spend too much time on
they're
Dallas.
solid.
Micah Parsons.
He's a
Holy shit.
freak
The fact
show.
that this guy, I mentioned this watching the games today, he didn't edge rush at all in college. He was just a middle linebacker running down running backs. This dude's going to set the rookie record for sacks, never doing it before. What?
He's one of one. He's an absolute fucking freak show.
What?
He should just be. Do they do it like an overall rookie of the year, or do they just do offense and defense?
The offense and defense.
If it's overall, it's him. It's him.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Mac.
Yeah, it's him.
It ain't you, but Mac will win offense. He'll win defense for sure. He's got a case for defensive player of the year for the entire league. Myles Garrett's going to win it. He's going to have more sacks probably, but he's been incredible.
All he does is make plays.
Every week.
Forces turnovers.
Forces fumbles. Yes. He was 30 yards down the field, almost intercepted a pass this week. He's incredible.
I don't think I've ever really seen a player like him that's that versatile of a weapon.
No one that can edge rush like that and then
cover in space,
yeah.
defend the run as a middle linebacker. Like,
Nuts.
you could realistically use this guy at strong safety and defensive end. It wouldn't be that much of a stretch.
Yep. Really could.
So the reason we have them sixth, the reason I have them sixth, I just think they are a little more inconsistent than some of these other teams ahead of them. Maybe the team at fifth that I have, they're similar consistency, although that team has been pretty consistent over the last 3 to 4 weeks. They've just had some big letdown spots recently is the only reason I have them this low. I love their roster.
You have the Patriots at 5?
I have the Chiefs at 5.
I have the Patriots at 5. The fact that we have the Patriots over Dallas, I know it was like a month ago. Dallas went into New England and beat them. It was an overtime game. It was a good game, but we're drinking the Kool-Aid, the Patriots Kool-Aid.
How could you not? Be disrespectful not to.
Been pretty good.
Be disrespectful not to.
Been pretty good.
I mean, we needed them to answer a test. They beat Buffalo in a weird game, granted. But, I mean, you could point to maybe their schedule hasn't been the best over this run that they've been on, but
and now everyone's going to say, well, the Bills win isn't even very good.
Yeah, that's the thing with this whole shit. We were
Changes
like,
every
the
week.
Bills beat the Chiefs. It wasn't a good win. Now the Chiefs are good. Is that a good win now? It doesn't matter. All the teams are a razor's edge difference week to week. The players are all fantastic.
They all get paid
This
to
is
play.
impossible to try to rank these teams.
They get paid to play, all of them.
So they've beat the Panthers, the Chargers, who are pretty good, the Jets, and then they lost the Cowboys. And they killed the Browns.
Yeah, I have the Patriots ahead of them, too. I have the Chiefs ahead of
Beat
the
the
Patriots,
Titans also. I was not even looking. So
I feel like the Chiefs are back. I don't know.
Bills, Titans,
You would
Falcons, Browns, Panthers.
You would take on a neutral field the Patriots to beat the Chiefs right now?
I can't get the bad taste of the early season Chiefs out of my mind. I just think
Their defense has been incredible. Chris Jones,
Speaking
give him
of-
Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, let's
everywhere.
let's talk about
Oops.
bad schedules.
Audio only didn't need to know that, but
He's
I
a
couldn't.
spitty
I
little
couldn't-
boy.
I couldn't sneak it past the video crew. I just spit all over this
Sammy
microphone.
Sprinkler.
Just spit all over this microphone. It's okay. What were you going to say about the schedule?
Okay, so they beat the Raiders today. Dead.
Killed
they
them.
beat the Broncos. Stink. Beat the Cowboys.
Good.
Good.
Almost
Beat the Raiders again. Stink.
beat them.
Beat the
held
Packers.
them to 9 points.
Beat the Packers without Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Beat the Giants. Lost to the Titans. Okay, so they beat the Cowboys basically in this run.
But again, we've said it. Win the games.
I know.
Impressively beat the Cowboys. They held them to 9 points.
Not
The
19 to
defense-
9.
The defense.
Look, the defense is good. I'll just take the consistency right now. I'll take the Pats. I think I will wait another week. Wait another week.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I have the Chiefs one spot ahead of them. And then obviously we have all the same 3 teams. What order do you have these top 3 in?
Buccaneers, Cardinals, Packers.
From what way?
Bottom to top.
Buccaneers, Cardinals. Yeah, same.
If the
Would you really take the Cardinals to beat the Buccaneers on a neutral right now? You wouldn't. I don't think I would either. But I have them ranked ahead right now. Their defense is legit. I really like their defense.
I like the Cardinals defense way more than I like the Buccaneers defense right now.
Would you take Kyler? Would you take him over Tom Brady? Playoff game.
No, I wouldn't.
So their Buccaneers are second.
Yeah, probably.
I would take the Packers.
Here's the thing. I'd probably take the Buccaneers to beat the Packers. Aaron Rodgers fucking sucks in the playoffs. Sucks is probably strong.
No, he just
They
can't
don't
beat Tom
win.
Brady. He just can't beat Tom Brady.
That means he only played him once in the playoffs.
I thought he played him a few times.
Oh,
Maybe not.
last year was his first year in the NFC.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they didn't play him. Yeah.
He made it to one Super Bowl.
He doesn't suck in the playoffs. Come on. I would take the Packers.
Look,
take the Packers.
They lose a lot of games they're favored to win. Whether that's Aaron Rodgers' fault, I don't know. They lose as a favorite in the playoffs a lot when they're with Aaron
Really?
Rodgers. I mean, I think they lose a lot in the playoffs, and they're always a top one or
everyone-
two seed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Everyone loses in the playoff. I mean, one team wins, but
I understand that, but if you're as good as you say you are, if you're Aaron Rodgers, some of those should be you. Tom Brady wins those.
I wonder what the spread was in the San Francisco game, in the title game that they lost. When they, I mean, what's he supposed to do?
Well-
Go tackle someone?
No, I understand, but, you know.
Yeah, no, yeah, you got to win the game. I'll take the Packers. I'll take the Packers over the Bucks. I'm going to move the Bucks to 2 though, because that's just
I'm going to move
lying.
the Buccaneers to 1.
That's just lying. We would just take the Buccaneers. They're the
Yeah, that's we're sort of in resume mode rather than
yeah. And you would not take the fucking Patriots over the Chiefs in a game right now, in a playoff game.
I might.
Neutral field.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I might.
No way. You're nuts.
I might.
You are nuts.
I'm
Who
not.
would be favored in that game? It would be the Chiefs in a neutral field. It would be. It would be.
I will see on this Chiefs defense. We'll see.
I think they can handle Mac Jones. That's for fucking sure.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. You would take the Chiefs. You're fucking lying.
Nope. I would take the Pats. Man, I can't forget how fucking bad they were.
Who?
The Chiefs. They sucked so bad.
The fucking Patriots lost to the Dolphins in week 1. Shit happens.
That was
That was what? It was the game on the field. They played 60 minutes.
much longer ago than the Chiefs being bad was.
Yes, the Chiefs
That
have won
was
like 7 games in a row.
5.
Unimpressive. Whatever.
They've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 in a row. They beat one good team.
You're nuts.
They beat one good team.
Okay.
They beat one good team.
You can have the Pats. I'll take the Chiefs. You and Mac Jones against me and Patrick Mahomes. I like my guys.
Andy Reid against Bill Belichick. He's notoriously been great in that spot.
I like my guys.
Okay.
I like my guys. Anything else that you want to talk about on football?
No, not really.
All right. This has been a very long episode because we talked Elf and we talked Grinch, and now we're talking all this NFL shit. Really quick, 2 or 3 minutes on the UFC from the weekend. Initial thoughts.
Biggest upset in the history of the sport. Amanda Nunes finally went down.
Probably, right?
It has to be. I mean, I don't know about early UFC. She was minus 1,100 to win the fight, and she lost. She got tapped out.
Not only like
a decision.
not on like a split decision, like greasy.
Not on like a
just got her ass
lucky knockout.
beat.
Got fucked up.
Yeah, got pieced up. I never thought I'd see it in my entire life.
No, I thought she'd retire undefeated.
Yeah.
There was no doubt in my mind that she would retire undefeated.
Yeah. The only really, we can talk about the 2 title fights.
Oliveira's legit.
Also, they'll just do a rematch of that fight probably, and I'm in.
Nunes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll watch that. Oliveira survived. What? So he just, first round, just like pummel me and then we'll rally? Bad strategy. Seems like that will end at some point. But
Draw him in.
we were
Draw him
talking
in. Get him.
during the fight. We were talking. He's so hittable. Poirier was just teeing off on him. It knocked him down twice in the first round. And the same way with Michael Chandler, he knocked him down and was trying to ground and pound and finish the fight. Come back and lose in the second round.
Yeah. He's the best submission artist in the entire sport. I don't really think it's even particularly close, certainly on the men's side.
Of that caliber, I would say. Yeah, there's another guy we were laughing about. The guy that just like rolls up on your legs.
Guy that's a real fighter, though.
Yeah, but fighters at that level. Yeah, I think they got to do Justin Gaethje against him. I think that's.
I guess.
I
or
watched
just run that back again.
I watched the press conference after with Dana, and he said Justin Gaethje.
Okay. I think Gaethje will also get tapped out, but we'll see.
100%. Justin Gaethje is a worse Dustin Poirier.
Agreed.
Dustin Poirier's already beat him.
A little, yeah. He's Dustin Poirier. If he was even more over aggressive, he'll overextend. He could knock him out. I mean, Justin Gaethje could knock out anybody in the sport. But
yeah, and we've seen Oliveira's fucking hittable. He just stands there. He gets tagged.
Yeah, he does.
But
I don't know if that's
tough.
That's. I mean, I don't know that him getting hit is part of his strategy, but him being, making you think, hey, I'm going to be over aggressive.
Come down here with me.
Hey, you knocked me down.
Yeah.
Come on, come here.
Yeah.
No, he was great. Fights other than that, nothing really to
Just
note.
the 2 title fights. Yeah. Jeff Neal won. Who's else?
The Australian guy,
Cody
knocked
Garbrandt
out
got his ass kicked.
Cody Garbrandt.
That was cool.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Sean O'Malley looked very impressive.
Get this guy a fight. Dana said in that too. He was talking to Sean. He said he wants to get paid and he wants to be a champion. We're going to have to figure out a way to do both, he said. We got to get this guy a better fight.
Yeah. Yep.
Dana, I agree. Let's see a better fight. Anything else?
Nope, I think we've gone more than long enough.
Cool. We'll be back on Wednesday with Bobby for the Fantasy Suite version of The Bachelorette. Let's get sexy in here. That'll be
Thursday,
Wednesday.
Bobby will also be on that episode talking Christmas
Friday?
story. We'll record Thursday.
Yeah.
Friday episode, Bobby will also be on that one talking Christmas Story versus Polar Express.
Exactly. That'll fight. I just about said fight. That'll go up against the winner from this episode.
Correct.
Which is
Elf.
Yeah. So that'll be the matchup. We'll talk with Bobby on Friday for that matchup.
Buddy versus Ralphie. Who you got in the steel cage?
Ralphie, you suck. You're overrated, pal. You're overrated. You're a classic, but you're overrated. I'm sorry. Stay tuned on Friday. We'll figure that out. I'm going to try to talk these people into knocking out A Christmas Story. We'll see you then.